Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parampara. Om Saganavavadu Sakanapunattu Sakaviryam Karavavagai Tejasvina Vadidamastumavat Vishavage. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Patena Vajam Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaityakena Yopa Karotam Prabanam Muninam Patanjali Pranjali Manatosmi. So we're looking at the Samadhi definition, the 5 slokas, 5 sutras. We just recite once and then we get back into where we have to begin. So, Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Rupa, Anugamat, Sampragyadaha.
Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda,
Asmita, Rupan, Anugamat, Sampragyataha.
Virama Pratyaya, Abhyasa Purvaka, Samskara Seshu Anyaha.
Virama Pratyaya, Abhyasa Purvaka, Samskara Seshonyaha.
Bhava Pratyayo, Videha Prakriti Layanam.
Bhava Pratyayo, Deha Prakriti Layanam.
Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka, Itaresham.
Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi,
Prajna, Purvaka, Itaresham.
Very good. So in this, in 17, Patanjali taught us Samprajnata Samadhi. In 18, we are going to see Anyaha, the other one, which is Asamprajnata Samadhi. So we have to now have a quick recap and then we build on it. So Samadhi is shown as an attainment. That's what we saw. Samadhi is an attainment. To do the attainment, you do the Vairagya Abhyasam, Paravairagyam, Aparavairagyam. So when you do that, you get a Samadhi as an attainment. So the moment we say Samadhi as an attainment, which is also right perspective, it creates some doubts in our mind. You know, attainment is always means a lot of efforts. Not that we always attain what we put the efforts for. So there could be a failure. It's not a big ordeal. So it is really a bit of an impediment to pile on because it is something to be achieved by a lot of efforts. That's how we learned that in the initial approach to the sutra. Patanjali also going to say in the Ashtanga Yoga, the last limb, the 8 limbs are the 8 tool sets to use to attain Kaivalyam. The last limb is Samadhi. Therefore, Samadhi as a means also is something to be applied. So it becomes an effort-oriented result. That's fine. So when the result is available, then we use it, it's useful. But you know, as a student of Vedanta, attainment means achieving something that you do not have now. Is it not? So what you don't have, you put an effort and attain it. So if you aiming for something to attain, and because you don't have it, it did not have existence before. So if you achieve it, you got it. But because it never had existence before, in your case, it will not have a lasting status with you. It will go away. We don't need a drishtandam for it because, you know, in life, everything is an attainment for us. So when we attain whatever we attain by our efforts, they go away. Of course, when they are with us, it gives us the happiness or whatever it is supposed to give you. That's fine. We accept that. Therefore, if I truly see Samadhi is an attainment, very clearly, it attainments after the aparavairagyam and effort, it is going to give me a temporal benefit because attainments are only attained and used for a temporary time. So it is a little bit of problem because it does not mean that it is Samadhi itself is a kaivalyam. That's one way of looking at it. But Vedanta, we always get motivated because, you if it is a struggle to do something, Vedanta says, yeah, but you are not really attaining anything. Say, for example, in Vedanta, what do we say for moksham? Jnanam. Jnanam is the moksha. When you attain the jnanam, it's a moksha. But then Vedanta says, the moksha is the Atma, Atma Surupam, Sat Chit Anandam. Chit is the jnanam. So Atma Surupam is Jnana Surupam. But I am the Atma. Therefore, I am the Jnana Surupam. Therefore, I am not attaining myself, but I am realizing myself. Is it not? This is self-realization. Realization means you don't need to attain, which you already have, which is Siddha Vastu. You already have that thing, but you forgot that you have it. Forgot that you are that. Therefore, in the Vedanta, when you say Jnanam, to acquire Jnanam, you study books, you put an effort, but you get Jnanam. Yeah, we call it Jnanam. So it appears as a tool. But then it says Jnanam is yourself. So it is not a tool, it is Surupam. So the same word is used as a means and the end. Therefore, Samadhi also a means and an end. It looks like it is attained, but our true nature is therefore Samadhi. It's a bit difficult to appreciate it because I'm not in a Samadhi. Okay, I'm saying I'm an Atma, okay, I don't understand it, I do it. But I'm not a Samadhi. Samadhi is in a trance. I'm not in a trance. We are all in a trance. Everything is a trance. This life is real and the relationship is real. I'm going to live forever. The money I'm making is going to be staying with me. What is all this? It's a trance. The trouble is, the trance is not singular, it's just manifold. Vritti. There is another way to look at it. See, there is an insight. If you need to attain, say for example, somebody tells you, every day, drive around this circle for a few times, you'll be better. He's giving you what? He's giving you an abhyasam. Drive every day. So therefore, what is given, that means you can't go and ask him, look, yes, thank you very much, I will take the abhyasam of driving, but I don't have a car. Then his abhyasam, this instruction is wrong. What Patanjali has given, abhyasa vairagyam. Abhyasam is doing something with what you have. If it is true attainment that you do not have, you would have given different thing. Go and do this puja, do this yajna. No. So therefore, my abhyasam means it is something which is our very nature, that it is not understood, not nurtured. So why I'm saying this, if it is our very nature, it's very essential that we should know it. And therefore it is possible to know it. That's what I'm saying. Therefore, there is never a fear that I would ever attain a Samadhi. You will. It's only realizing When do I get that samadhi? Right? So now I'm giving a different perspective. So therefore, we should not be afraid to seek samadhi. Then I say, okay, you give an example of jnanam and samadhi here. Is it the same? Is jnanam is samadhi? That means if I just be on a samadhi state, I'll get jnanam. Yes and no. The way to understand is samadhi is the source of jnanam. You understand? Samadhi is the infinite source of infinite jnanam. Therefore, to get the jnanam, you should go to the source. But if you go to the source, jnanam is there without you trying it. You see? So if you can therefore correlate samadhi, in the last class what we saw, a true bearing, tranquil mind is samadhi. Therefore, our mind is not pure. So we take abhyasam to make it pure, tranquil. And it becomes tranquil, it becomes true bearing. That truth is jnanam. So when it is tranquil means if there is a debunked well and you clear all this muck, everything you clear off, you go to the source of the water. Rest of it is water without effort. So samadhi is like reaching the source, and there the jnanam is there. Here your Patanjali's context, you talk about the Purusha. Remember, what is yoga is kaivalyam. Kaivalyam is what? Being alone. Alone what? Alone as my own nature. What is in Patanjali's metaphysics? That is Purusha. Therefore, the Purusha is therefore jnanam. The source of Purusha is in the samadhi. The deep well is the mind. Mak is all this chitta vritti. So what do? You put a bucket. I don't know if you've seen the well in India. So you put it in and pour water and take it out. So you remove all this what you don't need by vairagyam. Now, but the mind needs a hold. The very reason why mind exists because it always gets a hold. The technical term for the hold is alambana. In other words of understanding is alambana is that object of thought that your mind is currently holding it. Now take a pause and think in your mind. You may be thinking about Patanjali or the lecture or the telephone or something that is at home that is urgently to be attended to. So every time I say something, I'm pushing a vishayam into your mind. Apple comes to your mind. Everything comes in. Then the mind holds onto it. Maybe for a fraction of a second. Doesn't matter. So therefore, the existence of mind is therefore defined by the function it does, which is holding on to an alambanam. Now, how I'm going to relate to this? If samadhi is about purifying the mind is full of muck. The muck is a hole, the object to hold. Then I need to clean it up. So, our embodiments, Sthula Sukshma Sariram, our body, our organs, Karmendriyam, Jnanendriyam, they bring everything into the Andakarna. What is Andakarna? What do you call it? Chittam, which is divided in Vedanta as Chittam, Buddhi, Ahankaram, and Manas. So all this covering up the Purusha. That's what Patanjali says. The Purusha is unattached. Like a moon, like a sun, it radiates effulgence, the insentient mind, body becomes animated. We saw in Vedanta. It's untouched. But this proximity of the Purusha with Prakriti somehow creates a binding in the mind, and therefore we identify with our embodiments. Then all these thoughts that happen in the mind is due to the Vishaya. You think now, okay, I'm thinking about the book. Now think about the car, the train, the house, the marriage, the good news, the bad news. A series of thoughts come through and they create the vrittis. Sat vrittis or maybe asat vrittis. We saw that. What kind of vrittis they are? There are 5 kinds of vrittis. Do you remember? Pramanam, Viparyayam, Vikalpam, Nidra, and Smriti. You think the right things comes to your mind, wrong things come to your mind, imagination comes to your mind, sleep comes to your mind, memory comes to your mind. All these are creating a vritti. So when I say creating a vritti, it means mind is holding on to an alambanam. Take it like this. Vritti equals mind got a hold. The monkey got a hold. But it's like, on Charlie Chaplin movie, he tried to pick up the sticks and he took one, put on his armpit, take the next one, that didn't fall, next one. Never ending, he'll be just doing it. Same way the mind picks one after one after one after. So the alambanam keeps on changing. The vritti goes on. Therefore, the chitta vritti nirodha means this continuous chain of holding had to be controlled. What is the best control? So if you think that, okay, in a minute I'm thinking about 65 objects, taxing. Now I only think about 30. Less taxing. Think about 5. Even less taxing. But you will say, look, I need to think everything because I live in this world, so many objects, I deal with this. Yes, you will think many things. Here you're talking about an instance of time, of human time. If I am able to take my mind and give it an alambanam and say, stay put, then what happened? The vritti curve, the oscillating curve will become one simple sine curve, one peak, stop. Called egakram. See, therefore what we are trying to do is to make the alambanam different. Well, the choice of alambanam is very important. What are we giving the mind to hold on to it? Well, I'm going to this mind management exercise. I'm paying $500 and they're teaching me concentration skills. And they ask me to concentrate on this candle all the time. I look at the candle all the time. I focus my mind. Oh, fine. You may probably get your retina got burnt because you're looking at it too long. But it is trying to give you that kind of a single alambanam to focus. The idea is good. But the choice of the alambanam is very important because that depends on your goal. If my goal is to keep my mind steady, well, fine. What's the steady mind going to do? But see, if I want to achieve a truth-bearing mind, I want to transcend it, then I must give the mind the alambanam, which will be very soothing, which will be very useful. And we call it, in other words, spiritual. Of course, there is also samskaras. What is samskaras? We already talked about it quite a few times. Samskaras are the intense thoughts that are recorded in your mind, not just on this birth, forever. In fact, samskara is that which is the ticket for your journey of multiple life and multiple universe. We saw, for those of you who attended the initial Vedanta Darshana class, we talked about Chidabhashan. What happens when we die? You remember, the Sthula Sariram decays, it grows. You remember last class we discussed about the propensity or the power of subtle part compared to the gross part. Gross is useful, temporal, less reliable. Subtle is more useful, less temporal, more reliable, but still temporal. So there's this subtle mind, which is nothing but the andakarana, never dies. It's always there. It will disappear when you have the mukti. Until then, it talks a beautiful journey of body after body after body after body. That's a different topic to talk about. So, but that, which part I go, is a samskara. So maybe 5,000 years before, I may be a hunter. Samskara may be still there. Get the itch to take the stone and hit the dog I see on the road. The hunting itch is coming to me. No child is taught to lie. Would any mother tell the children, okay, this is how you lie? No. But children lie. Naturally lie. How does a lie, how the falsehood comes in? Samskara. So the samskara, when it is throwing some vrittis, they become vasanas. When their gross form creates imprint to select the particular embodiment, it is the DNA. But most of it does not show up. It's just there, dormant. You see, now if I need to give mind a hold, so I must choose the right vishaya, reduce the vishaya, bring it closer, give it an alambanam. I come closer to the Purusha. So therefore, my dhyanam has to be from very gross in nature to as subtle as possible. Now, this is the background I want to give you because the next sutra will give you some clarity when you understand this. So we saw in the last class, vitarka, vichara, ananda, spelling mistake there, asmita, rupanagaman, samprajnataka. So here, remember what is samprajnataka? Samprajnata. Well, completely, exhaustively holding on to the alambana. That is what we do for dhyanam. I want to do dhyanam on, say, my Ishta Devata. I sit down, my office work comes, everything comes into my mind. So to become a samprajnata samadhi, that means I must really fill my mind with one single alambanam, which I chose, which is, in this case, for example, my Ishta Devata, or your book you are reading, or a poetry you are writing, whatever you want to take as a goal. So dhyanam is not in that state. If you are in that state, you are already in the samprajnata samadhi. But when you are trying to be there in the state, with a deliberate efforts to be in the state, then it is called dhyanam. That's why dhyanam comes before samadhi, the Ashtanga yoga. So when you are taking up dhyanam at home, so you are trying to reach that samprajnana samadhi, and you are doing exercise, the battle within yourself to lose out all the other alambanas, give them that. So to do that, in Sampragya Samadhi, we said it is Rupa Anugamat. Rupa means a form, the most grossest form. Anugamat means a complement, steps. So therefore, I think we in our Sanatana Dharma, it is given from kindergarten answer, from nursery level, you're teaching. So it is telling you, okay, take, because your mind cannot comprehend abstract ideas. Choose an object for worship, dhyana. Should I make it tall, short, yellow, 10 hands, 100 hands, animal face, angel face, women form, male form? Choose whatever you want. You see the liberation, generosity of our dharma. Choose what you want. Ardhanarishra, choose. This stone you choose. Cross you want to choose. Anything. Because you know you're going to transcend this. This form is nothing. Form is just a hole for me. And Uddhava, Bhagavan is telling Uddhava, I'm going to leave this world. And Uddhava is a very great disciple to Krishna. So Uddhava Gita is a very different Gita compared to Bhagavad Gita. So he's telling him, look, please Krishna, don't go. How can I be without you? And he tell him, okay, this guy won't listen. Therefore, he basically gave him very clear instruction. Go give up all your thing, go up to Badrinath and go to the cave and meditate. He's telling him to go to the Asampragya Samadhi. Because the form will go. Anjaneya was, Kishkindaki was praying Ramanama. Rama was sitting next to him with Lakshmana. And Sugriva asked him, Anjaneya, are you out of your mind? Your beloved Rama is sitting next to you. But you're closing your eyes and doing Ramanama. Anjaneya said, this Rama form will go. You see, form is a gross form. Therefore, you can say the Nama is not than the form. So therefore, at some stage, well, I am fine, but I don't need the prayer room. I don't need a Lord. I can just think, I can say the Ramanama, Krishna Nama. See, you get from the gross to subtle. But then, when I do this one, okay, I'm talking about Krishna, 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 I'm praying, all this Krishna's Leela comes to my mind. All this drama comes to my mind because I read all of Puranas. Gross thought comes in. You know, how he played in the Vrindavan, Rasa Leela. And then when you're thinking like this, suddenly all that forgets, all that is gone. You feel a sense of fulfillment, karunya, compassion. Even when you close your eyes and when you do dhyana, when somebody looks at you, they will know that you are happy. So then you are moving away from even that subtle thought to the sadgunas. So from vitarka to vichara. Then you see the alambanam is still that. The gross alambanam is the thought of, let's take an example of this Krishna or the Surya or sun or whatever. Hold the object, then object's attributes come into mind, object's name comes into mind, you do dhyanam. Then you get anandam, and Patanjali is very prescriptive on it. To move to the anandam, I'm not able to really get that. Then he says, yeah, what you therefore you have to do, you move the alambram from the objects of holding to the instrument. You will see what it is. So when you start looking at it, I'll tell you now. So vitarkam is when you are at the gross object level. Vichara means the subtle level. So you're moving a little bit closer. You don't need the object anymore. You can close your eyes. You can just think through. So you're moving closer to the Purusha. When you are meditating on the instrument of knowledge, I'll give an example. Okay. Somebody is reciting, singing a bhajan, and you are listening to it. So now you're going to vichara. You maybe think about if Tulsidas Ramayanam, you think about the Anjaneyas, and when Chalisa is being recited, you don't think about Anjaneya's form, Vitarkam, and then slowly you get into this Anjaneya quality Vicharam. Then at some point, you'll be looking at your listening, the words. See, when I talk to you, look at this exercise. Now, when I talk to you now, you are listening to me. Hopefully, if you have Shraddha, you'll be listening to my words. Other words will come. A car passed by, your telephone rings. It comes as a disturbance. Or if it's a very expected person calls you, then it is not only a disturbance to a momentary disturbance, it's also a attraction, repulsion, diversion. So different hearing comes in. Now I take a different approach to hearing. Now I am going to meditate on my hearing sense itself. What am I hearing? Why am I hearing this sound? Because sound is what projected to me in the ears. But then I say, therefore sound is gross, like eyes is seeing. I see a form because the form is there. So when I hear some noise, the noise is coming to me, noise is gross. But I want to go to subtlety of it. But then you think, where does this noise exist? Noise exists in the vacuum, in the space. But a better way of defining is noise exists in the silence. That's why whenever we talk, say, be silent. We are inviting silence to be there so that when you talk, everybody can be heard. So silence is the carrier, the dancing stage in which every word, every sound dances. So if I'm going to meditate on the subtlety of hearing, what is the technique I will use? I will hear the silence. So now when you hear me, don't hear my words, hear the underlying silence. Two benefits for this. When you are hearing my words and focus on hearing my words, when I don't speak, your hearing will disturb because the gross form is not there. Alambanam is gone. That is why many times we are not able to attend any lectures or any class because with our sincerity, we listen. The words are coming, we are understanding it. For a moment, for example, the teacher or the speaker is not talking, we are lost. Somebody was sitting in front of Ramana Maharshi for many hours, expecting him to give a discourse. Then after some time, he gets up and goes to Bhagavan and say, look, I've been waiting to listen. When are you going to give a discourse? Bhagavan says, discourse has been going on the whole day. It's not a symbolic one. Dakshinamurti is in Maunam is his eloquence. And you say, how can Maunam is what? Mona Mori is the language of the seers. So practically, when you listen to silence, whenever you hear something, you train your ears to hear the silence. When I pause, you are still hearing me. If I look at the stage, if anything comes on the stage, I can see it. When nothing is there, I still look at the stage. See, this is how the technique, we can learn about it a little bit more. So you move from the gross to the instruments of knowledge. then you get a different ecstasy. You'll hear Anandam, because when you are just intellectually hearing every thought I give you, your mind may think something else, because if you're not doing Shravanam, you are doing Mananam. Why is he saying this rubbish? I know better than him. Then other thoughts will come, will take you away. But if I don't concentrate on the word hearing, but silence hearing, words will come, many words will come, the car signs will come, but I will pick up what I need to pick up. So that kind of ecstasy is Asmit Ananda. And then you pass that through, then even the instrument of knowledge is what? Is Prakriti. My sense of hearing, all this is what? An instrument. It is also holding. I have 5 different senses, 6 different senses. Mind, so many things to hold. Therefore, I even give that up and then move towards for whom all this thing happening, for whom this whole world is, why there is a relationship for me, why there is happiness, why is this world? It's all for me. So this is very important. You have to really see the world as if the world is for you alone. Then only you love the world. Then only you'll enjoy the life. After all, your life, your birth, your death is only yours. Everybody else is just observers. Sorry, being very straight on this. Everybody, even your parents, your husband, wife, children, they are co-passengers. Of course, they are a little bit closer to us than anybody else. But you are alone. You are the one. Because there's only one. If it is only one, then all this drama of life, in which I am also a player, is for me. Now, if you ask the question, then you get a sense of supremacy in you. That is, everything's for me. Not in an arrogant way. A kind of a profound joy in you. Then you will start appreciating everything in life. But then when you sit on meditation, you will think, it's all for me, but who am I? When I am in the Ananda state, I focus on the Ahankara and the senses and the mind. That the Ahankara is I do, I know, I enjoy, that egoity. It's a very subtle difference. Asmita is the I-ness. So here you are contemplating on the Aham Bodham. What happened to my prayer of my Ishtadevata? What happened to my worship of Krishna? Krishna will do the trick. So he'll be there in the thought, in the gross thought, and he'll hide himself and then make you do the Hare Krishna Nam. Then the Nama will go away. You'll be in his ecstasy. Then Krishna is gone. Form is gone, name is gone. It's just yourself. Still, I have the Alambanam. The Alambanam is, that is why it's called Samprajnada Samadhi. So the more you go, when you come to Aspida state, you are very close to the Purusha. So when you say Ananda, Aspida doesn't have Ananda, yes, it has got more Ananda. But it's a specific state, Ananda state is that Ananda is rapturous. You feel, so joyful. Someday you get up from the bed, you feel joyful, but you can be there in all the time. I hope. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but just to pick up this one. So therefore, this whole object of contemplation, therefore, would be on 3 things. What are the objects we can contemplate on? It's called grahyas. that is subtle and the gross. Then you can also contemplate on the instrument of contemplation, grahana, and the contemplator, the grahatru. So we saw this. So in the vitarka dhyanam and the vichara dhyanam, and therefore vitarka samadhi and vichara samadhi, we concentrate on the gross and subtle objects. In ananda, we do the instrument of objects. In the asmita, on the self. Now, just to give you the different stages of samadhi that we have, and to correlate what groups of contemplation, object contemplation we're going to go through. Remember, we discussed about the Purusha Prakriti before. So Prakriti is a linga. A linga means what? Linga means a mark. Shiva Lingam. That means the stone is a mark of Shivam. Just something. No forms. Just. But there is no mark is a linga. Prakriti is a linga. You cannot think of Prakriti as anything. In Vedanta, we'll say Prakriti is the Maya. When you start defining it, it goes away. So it is unmarked. So therefore, we cannot contemplate on it. Leave it there. Then we know from the Prakriti comes Mahat or the Buddhi. Mahat is the cosmic intelligence. Buddhi is an embodied intelligence. But Buddhi, we know, is indicated. Again, I can't show you when somebody do the biopsy on my brain and say this is intellect. Nobody can say. But it's indicated. So it's a linga matra. Matra means alone. It's only by indicator. From that, the moment the buddhi comes in, what the first thought comes? Aham vritti comes in. Therefore, ahankara comes in. I am. The moment ahankara comes in, all the gunas comes in. Sattvic, rajas, and tamas. All this we've gone through. I'm just refreshing your mind. So with the tamas, when the tamas is dominant, tanmatras are the subtle causes. Seeing, touching, all this kind of thing. What is the subtlety of it that's created? With the sattvic dominant, of course, rajasic is helping in both sides. We get the mind and the other stuff. Since the ahankara and the tanmatras are common to everybody, I am so and so. You will say I am so and so. The dog will think I am the dog because you know that you see another dog, it goes there, so it knows I. So it is common to everything. So it's called avishesha. But the mind and the indriyas, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, and the panchabhutas that creates, they get embodiments. They are very special. Each body is different. They're called visheshas. Don't worry about these terms. So we saw this one in a Sankhya philosophy. Therefore, if you need to say, if you want to say, okay, I want to do dhyanam, tell me what I can contemplate. You can contemplate only on these things. The 16 visheshas, jnanendriyams, karmendriyams, panchabhutam or manas. Panchabhutam is all the gross objects. 5. Then I can do on my jnanendriyam, karmendriyam and the mind. Or you can go a little bit subtle. I look at the avishesha. So when I do the vitarka samadhi, I do on a panchabhutas. No, I do on a statue of Rama, but it's a panchabhuta. It's brass, it's a nickel, cadmium. Okay. Well, I am now doing on a Ramanama. Well, then you are doing on a manas, indriyas, subtle one. So vichara and vitarka is on the vishesha. But tanmatra and ahankara is ananda. But when you are thinking about buddhi, who am I? That is asmita. We already thought in alinga, which is a prakriti, we cannot contemplate. Can I contemplate on the Purusha? Can you? No. Why? Purusha is a contemplator. But just now he said, I can contemplate on the contemplator. You do that. But when you do that, you do it on an ahankara. That is a notional lie. Because the knower cannot know himself. Remember Vedanta? Can you see your eyes with your eyes? You cannot. You can see the pratibhimbam of this in a mirror. You cannot see the eye itself. Even the physical eye cannot see the physical eye itself. How can the knower not know? So you cannot. So Purusha you cannot contemplate because you want to become Purusha, realize Purusha. Prakriti you cannot contemplate because it's Maya. But all the evolutes of Prakriti I can contemplate. Well, all this sounds very technical. Make it simple. Can I not just contemplate on the God? This is where Patanjali came to our help. Because Sankhya has talked about all the abstract, beautiful science, and it's not going to anybody's head. The point Patanjali said, Ishvara, contemplate on Ishvara. But who is this Ishvara? Nobody told me about Ishvara so far. But if I can contemplate on Ishvara, is he a Panchabhuta? Yes. He is in every form. But is he in the Andakarana and minds? Yes, he is very subtle. He is the cause of everything. He is the cause of the body. Yes, he is. Therefore, the concept of Ishvara is a tool given to us so that we can systematically move within ourselves to reach what? You can say Ishvara or you can say Purusha. Now there is a dichotomy. This is, Patanjali doesn't explain this. Patanjali just leave it there. You will get Kaivalyam. Sankhya puts in a different difficulty because you said everybody is a different Purusha. There are infinite Purushas. So all the Dvaita schools therefore think about infinite Jivatmas. Therefore, even if I take Ishvara as the Alambana, my Kaivalyam is being with an Alambana of Purusha. Because I still not reach Ishvara. There is a real problem there, and this is what we will discuss in 20th Sutra. But in Vedanta, we have no problem. Because when you come to that stage, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, the Ishvara that he was eluding you all the time, the moment you know it, you are that. That's why Patanjali's yoga is a most beautiful, tactical way to bring the Vedantic thoughts into assimilation and development. So please remember this. Patanjali is going to, for people like us who are in a, Manda Buddhi, so he says, yeah, fine. I'm going to give you Ishvara Pranidhanam. This is again the beauty of it because bring the pure water from the well, the person doesn't know how to create water. But you tell him, don't worry about water, don't worry about anything. Just take the muck out and give the tool to him. So elementary lesson, he's just taking the muck out. That is how Vedamata teaches us. There's no need to really be sophisticated, quote from Bhashyas and sound very, experts and everything. Fine, you can do that. Simple thing, what is given to you, just do it. That's why we find, very profound scholars of no knowledge comes there. That's why somebody who just worship God gains everything. He will still give you this path. God is not going to show, he may show himself because, remember, when God shows himself, you need a special instrument to see him. What happened in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Krishna, hold on. If you are showing your Vishwarupa, I can't hold it. I can't see it. He is giving a very simple form us to see, but we refuse to see. Remember, if you are a believer in God, and if you ask anybody, do you want to see the God? Can anybody say, I don't want to see? Everybody say, I want to see God. Now, what makes it easy to see the God? If I want to give a answer to somebody, and if I give a very complicated, triple integrated equation in abstract mass and convoluted, you want to give the results to seeker in the most familiar form, is it not? So what is familiar to me in this world? If you must say humanity, because you know that the easily you can identify is humanity. You cannot, many insects we do not know, many animals we do not know, many plants we do not know. We do not know angels, demons we do not know. But human beings we know. So if you are asking God, come and show me yourself, and the God is a very, of course, Sarvagyan, so he needs to make it easy for you. In what form he can come to you? In human form. But what will happen? The moment he comes in a human form, familiarity breeds contempt. He cannot be God. Because he looks like me, acts like me. He sleeps, eats, he cannot be God. Nobody preferred to call Krishna as a God. Kunti had some inclination. Draupadi had some inclination. Vidura knows, and Bhishma know a little bit later. We do not know. We do not. That's the reason why God is a God. God says, look, he locked out. I cannot really help these human beings because they prefer to look at the snake, tree, stones. Fine. That's also fine because I'm in everything. That is why very important to understand. Alambanam is divinity. So if you know divinity in everything, anything can be an alambanam. There is a Saivite saint in South India. It's a real life. And from a young age, he used to take a stone, and when he was walking from the river to the house after having bath, there's a little ruined temple, and it used to be a Shivalinga. And he will take the stone and then throw it, hit it. Every day. So dedicated. When you go to the river, he dives into the river, picks up the stone. His mind is alambanam, egagram. Stone lingam. And it looks very rude, and we had to worship Shiva, put honey and milk and all this, and pray to him and show this thing and put 100 rupees in the hundi and then go and do our job. But this man is thinking about all the time. One day, God said, okay, I will show the world what a yogi he is. He made, I think there was a cyclone, river flooding, and he couldn't go to the river, and there's no stones. He couldn't find any stone. He was desperate. Mind is on one single focused stone. Linga, I need to hit it. Stone. Then he realized, my head is like a stone. It is not melting for you. What other stone I need? He goes there and tries to hit the stone linga with his forehead many times. And God comes and that's the story. So what I'm saying is, therefore, Ishvara Pranidhanam, Ishvara Kripa is important. But again, Ishvara Kripa is not rituals, Rituals is first step, and nobody wants to stop in the kindergarten. They want to go to high school. So we need to really evolve in this process. Okay. Now the last slide on the Samprajna Samadhi. There's also some question came to me as well about different names. So I thought I'll close this question. Complete recap. So if you forget everything, but this slide will give you this knowledge. Vitarka Samadhi, or it's also called Savitarka Samadhi. Sa means together. Savitarka Samadhi is Samadhi of attaining contemplative state by holding the alambanam of something gross. And when we do that, when you are able to deal with dhanam, you will experiment this and you will tell me that you find it right or wrong in the next classes. That when you are contemplating a gross object, after some time, without you knowing, the object just goes away. But your contemplation continues. When the transition happens, you are moving from sabitarka to nirbitarka. There is negation. So when you read this sabitarka samadhi or nirbitarka samadhi, you don't get confused about this. They are just different terms. Savitarka is holding on to this, and what you are holding seems to have gone is nirvitarka. Now that transition is essential to go to savichara. You cannot really achieve transcending to dhyanam from the gross form to nama, to gunas, and the kind of a subtle vicharam unless you go through this nirvitarka. You don't really go and say, I will do nirvitarkam today. No, you don't do that. Because you cannot do that. You take savitarka. But you will realize, that's why it's called samprajnati. You always be conscious of what's happening to you. You will realize, back if you think there's a monitor in you. Well, I was thinking about Vishnu and Vishnu is gone. I'm blissful. That's the time you transit into the savichara. Now you know what is coming, right? When you are doing a savicharam, after some time, that kalyana gunam is gone. You get a sense of happiness, and your focus is now moved from the object of contemplation outside to the instrument of contemplation. You are contemplating on your mind, your senses, and that gives you an anandam. See, now there is an insight here. When you are giving away objects, vishaya, the vishayanandam is gone. Vishayanandam is the lowest form of anandam. Even a statue, the anandam you get from statue is less than the anandam you get when you are transcending that to the state of sa-ananda. Now, once you get that ananda, the ananda doesn't go. You don't have a nir-ananda dhyana. No, you will never have that. From there, it moves to sasmita. Now, this is Samprajna Samadhi. Samprajna Samadhi is what we need to aim for. But when it is done, all this that happening is called sabijam. Bijam means seed. Sabijam means with a seed. One gives birth to another in alambanam. Therefore, don't think sabija samadhi is a different samadhi. No. Savitarkam, savicharam, anandam, asmidam. All this is sabija samadhi. Therefore, when the bijam is not there, but you are in a contemplative state, that's a nirbija samadhi. So we saw two examples here. Nirvitarkam, nirvicharam. It's a nirbija samadhi. So in Samprajna Samadhi, you can be sabijam or nirbijam, but they are at the gross and subtle level. Of course, in each of the state, when you go through, you will get lots of benefits, and all we are going to see in the next chapter. Now, what happened then? Once you have achieved the Samprajna Samadhi, you will transcend into Asamprajna Samadhi. How do you define Asamprajna Samadhi? It is the next sutra, which I will take in the next class, but you know it now, because What is a single definition of one word definition of Samprajñana Samadhi? Contemplation with, let's come to your mind, one alambanam. I have lots of alambanams. I control the chitta vritti. I change. I come and hold on to one egagram. Remember, Samprajñana Samadhi is about egagram. Mind is focused on one thing. Samprajñata. Alambanam is one. But I still have an alambanam. If the definition of Samprajñana Samadhi is single alambanam, single object focused contemplative state, what is therefore Asamprajñana Samadhi would be? Don't say many. Then you become non-meditative state. You would simply say there's nothing to hold on to. No alambanam, niralambanam, nirbijam. What? But I was told mind needs a hold. Now you are telling me in Asamprajñana Samadhi, I have no alambanam. Wait a minute, if there's no alambanam, nothing to hold. If there's nothing to hold, nothing is there in the mind. The mind is not there. Is it called manonasha? Yes. That is called chitta vritti nirodham. So therefore, yoga's definition is chitta vritti nirodham. Samadhi is chitta vritti nirodham. Everything in the first sutra we saw. So now he is giving you will achieve that one only when you achieve Asamprajñata Samadhi. But to achieve Asamprajñata Samadhi, I need to achieve Samprajñata Samadhi. Now I say achieve, as if that it is something to be attained. No, it is to do abhyasam so that my wandering state is retained. I think I would stop it here because I think, I'm sorry, I wanted to finish it, the whole thing today, but I took some time. So the next class we will do the Asamprajñata Samadhi and we finish that one. And then we have two more to go through very quickly on a little variation to this. And then we will move to the next section of it.
Om Asatoma
Asatoma Sagamaya
Namashoma Jyotirgamaya
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya
Pratyoma Amritam Gamaya
Vrityoma
Mardam Gamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radha.